gang, and welcome to another episode of Try Not to Curse. This is a weird one. I was recently given the ability to go live on TikTok. So I said, again, no guest. Scheduling is the biggest issue on this podcast, Try Not to Curse. So let's just give the listeners an update and go live at TikTok on the same time. So I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea what I'm doing. I've never gone live before. The setup here in the podcast studio is not the way I wanted it. So the angle's off, the lighting is off. It took me 45 minutes to get going and to figure out what the heck I was doing. I don't even know if anybody can hear me right now through the phone. I know the phone is hooked up to the board through Bluetooth, but I can only hear myself through the board. I can't hear myself through the podcast. I have a couple people who have joined and are watching right now. Thank you so much for being here. Please comment, tell me if you can hear me. You guys, I genuinely have no idea what I'm doing. But like I said, I just wanted to just try this out, see if it worked, because as I've said before, listeners, I hate podcasting alone. I hate it when I don't have a guest, but as you all know, I've said this repeatedly now, we're in the middle of season 2 or series 2, depending on where you're from. And scheduling is still the hardest part of it. I shit you not. Excuse me, I shouldn't be swearing. Again, there are things on TikTok that I know you're not allowed to say. So who knows? This could be my last live ever. I have no idea. But I kid you not, I have had guests that have said to me like, hey, yeah, I'd love to come on the pod. Call me back in 6 months. Like, cool. That's really helpful for a weekly podcast show. That's really, really helpful. Again, thank you all for joining. I see your names scrolling up. I don't know who any of you are. I do appreciate you being here. My name is Elizabeth Marvel. The podcast is called Try Not to Curse. Available everywhere that you can hear podcasts. But please comment. Tell me if you can hear me or not. I have no idea if you guys can hear me. I need to know what's going on because it's just, I'm just flying by the seat of my pants right now. But let's get right into it. So I had surgery a year and a half ago. I had bariatric surgery. I'm just going to give my listeners a quick update. I have lost 90 pounds. It's not the goal that I wanted. I wanted to lose 150. I am still working towards that goal. I work out 4 to 5 times a week. I know where I'm lacking. However, again, as my listeners know, I was diagnosed with anemia when I was 12 years old, and I have been on iron ever since I was 12. But after having this surgery, I am no longer absorbing iron. I really didn't start to feel the effects of not absorbing that iron until about 6, 7, 8 months ago. And at that point, we just assumed, oh, you're just hypoglycemic. So that was something you have to work through. I've been on disability for it because, there are some mornings in particular are really, really hard for me. So there were some mornings that I would wake up and just feel like I couldn't function. I couldn't get out of bed, just completely just low energy. I just felt miserable, awful. So once kind of realizing I was hypoglycemic, I knew what I needed to do for that. And unfortunately for me, someone who's in the process of trying to lose weight underwent a major surgery and a huge life change to try and lose weight and better themselves and change their lifestyle. I'm only 40 years old. Now all of a sudden, the only thing that makes me feel good is eating. So that's been great. I am still sticking to my high protein diet. I am still doing the things that I should be doing. Like I said, I'm working out, I'm staying active. I'm trying to be conscious about what I consume. But when I have a low period, when I feel drained, when I feel like, oh my God, I feel awful, like I'm going to faint any minute now, I have to eat something, which is great because I'm maintaining, but at the same time it stinks because it's not helping me towards my weight loss goal. Since November, I've gained about 10 pounds. And again, you can argue some of that is muscle because I've been working out as well. A lot of my friends are very, very encouraging. They're like, listen, you haven't changed any of your clothing sizes. You haven't gone back up. You still look the same way. You still feel the same way physically. So don't let the number on the scale affect you. However, and it's so easy for people to say, but when I go to the dietitian, when I go to the doctor's office, when they go to do my annual physical, that's all they look at. They don't look at, oh, so you work out 4 to 5 times a week. Oh, and you're still maintaining the same diet. You're not eating any more, any less. They don't look at any of that stuff. And it can really mess with people, and it's terrible. And we'll say it all the time. The healthcare system in America is awful, especially if you're a minority, especially if you're overweight. Like, everybody just comes with their preconceived judgments, regardless of who you are and what kind of background or medical history you have. Like, that's just something that's built into our inherent society, that it's just, you have to automatically be doing something wrong. You have to be lazy. You have to, you're stuffing your face. You're sitting around on the TV, on the couch watching TV all day. And it's like, no, now I have a medical condition and this is the only way for me to treat it at the moment. So the latest update with that is, after speaking with my doctor about this hypoglycemia situation, he said, well, hold on, you were diagnosed with anemia when you were 12. You've been taking iron pills ever since you were 12, but there's a very good possibility with this surgery that you're no longer absorbing iron. So let's get some blood work done. Let's take a look. Now, mind you, I donate blood as often as humanly possible. It's a really important thing to me. I have the type of blood that can be given to babies in the NICU. So it's really, really important. I even have my Red Cross Stanley Cup that I got last year, that I earned last year for donating 5 times. You can donate up to 6 times a year. So it's really, really important to me. This is something that I'm passionate about. I donate. I donated in the beginning of January. I'm donating in a couple of weeks this month. And I said to my doctor, I said, well, they always do a finger prick. They always test your blood for iron prior to donating. And I haven't had any issues all of this time. Then talking to some doctor friends who have been on this podcast, Try Not to Curse, they said to me, well, they're actually just testing for hemoglobin. They're not testing for ferritin. So that's a very different thing. Like yes, they can tell that you have iron in your system, but whether your system is absorbing it, that's a completely different issue. That's a completely different thing. Which again, I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I've never had this problem before. Nobody tells me these things. So sure enough, I had blood work done in December. Turns out, yes, my body is no longer absorbing iron in the way that I need. So what does that mean? Apparently, your blood is supposed to contain 10 to 15% of iron or ferritin, or I don't really know the terminology. Well, according to my blood work, I was only at 3%, which also my doctor didn't tell me at the time. He just said, oh, you're not absorbing. Like just kind of gave me this blanket, like, oh yeah, I see what the problem is here. But again, never broke it down in terms of numbers, in terms of percentages. So I just walked around with like, oh, okay, so now I'm going to have to get these iron injections. There's another word for it, also begins with an I. Can't remember it right now. Infusions, iron infusions. So I said, okay, fine, no big deal. Well, again, the state of healthcare in America. So this was back in December. My doctor referred me to a hematologist. They said, yes, let's go in, let's get these infusions. Well, that hematologist, their office did not have an available appointment until the end of February. So for another 2 months, I still felt like garbage all the time. The only thing that could counteract it was eating. I was still taking iron pills every single day just because that's all I know. And I figure it's better to still try to get what little bit of iron I can. When I can, I just kicked the frickin' stand here. Again, this is not the angle I wanted it to be. Everything is all kinds of a mess here in the studio. Again, please guys, comment if you can hear me. Let me know if you can hear me. I see all of these people that have joined. Thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. But nobody's commenting, so I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if you give a crap about what I have to say. I need some feedback here, gang. But again, for my listeners, so I finally saw the hematologist at the end of February, and he broke it down to me. He said, yeah, you only have 3% iron in your blood. That's really, really bad. That's really, really low. Like, no wonder you feel terrible. So he was going through the motions of explaining what the plan is, what these infusions will be like, the medication or the iron infusion that he prescribed to me. I have to get 2 iron infusions within a month's time. It's going to be 750 milligrams of iron. Again, I don't know what any of this means in layman's terms and in the long run. But then he said, and then after those rounds of infusions, then we're going to test your blood again in 6 months' time to see how well you're absorbing, and what kind of the rate of iron loss is. So that'll determine how frequently you have to come back and get these infusions. Okay, great, no problem. And then he says to me, do you have any questions now that we've broken this down? We figured out what we need to do. I said, yeah. How soon after getting the infusion can I donate blood again? And you guys, his face, like if WTF was a facial expression, like that's what his face, that's the expression he made on his face. He was like, what do you mean you've been donating blood? It was like, yeah, that's like the number one thing that I do. It's really, really important to me. Again, got the Red Cross Stanley mug from, for doing it last year. Really, really proud of myself. Like I post about it on socials whenever I donate. Like I think donating blood is like, one of the most important things one can do for society next to like maybe voting. We'll get there too. But he looked at me, he goes, you can't do that. You can't. You have no iron in your blood. You cannot be donating blood. And I said, well, again, when I go and donate and they do the finger prick and they test my iron levels, I pass with flying colors and it's fine and they send me on my way. And he goes, okay, well, maybe you need some more recovery time between. Like you certainly can't be donating as much as you have been donating. But again, these are not anything anybody's ever told me or talked to me about while we were trying to investigate all of this stuff. Like my doctor didn't sit there and say, so you're not donating blood, right? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those things that like, I think doctors forget that none of us went to medical school a lot of the time, So like they just like, it's like just the facts, ma'am. But it's like, yeah, but I have a whole other life outside of this office appointment. And maybe I'm doing things that I shouldn't be doing, but how would I know I shouldn't be doing them unless you tell me? So it's like, doctors get mad when people Google everything, but it's like, if you don't tell us all that comes with it. Like, again, when I got my bariatric sleeve surgery, I didn't know that I was going to be losing my hair 3 months afterward. I didn't know that I could potentially be hypoglycemic. Granted, that's something that you're born with. Like, it's not because of the surgery, but I didn't know that I could have increased symptoms of hypoglycemia after the fact. I also didn't know there was the possibility that I wasn't going to absorb iron anymore, even though they knew I was anemic when I went into it because I fill out the charts like they ask you to fill out the charts, the questionnaires. So it's really, really frustrating. And I can understand why people have such a stigma about going to the doctor and how people just refuse to go. I hear it, especially from my guy friends all the time. It's like, I don't want to go to find out something's wrong. Well, okay. So just keel over and just be done. Really? Like no, find out if something's wrong and then do something about it. But again, they make it so hard to do something about it because they don't give you all of the information. And then all of this stuff comes up and it's a surprise and they're like, oh yeah, we figured this would happen. Well, tell someone maybe, like let somebody know. Gang, I swear. So that's what's going on right now. Unfortunately, again, I still don't know when the infusions are going to start because insurance, as they love to do, especially here in America, refuse to believe your doctors when they give you a diagnosis. So my insurance said, hey, if she's no longer absorbing iron, like there's a possibility she's bleeding internally. So she needs to go to a gastroenterologist first and get checked out. Now, from my own personal experience, I have a family member who is in his 80s and has had internal bleeding for the past year. He's been dealing with this. He's been hospitalized 4 or 5 times now. So I know what the symptoms are. I do not have internal bleeding. But again, because we are in America and the healthcare system is so incredible, so great, that, these are the hoops that I have to jump through. And of course, again, so I get the referral to the GI. I call the GI's office. I say, hey, this is what's going on. I need to set up an appointment. I need to just have a look-see, make sure everything's good so that I can start these freaking infusions. They call me back and say, hey, your insurance wants blood work done before you come see us. And I said, okay, it's the end of February. I had blood work done in December. They go, yeah, we know. We see it in your chart. Insurance still needs your blood work to be done before you can come see us. Bro, like my iron is at 3%. It's not going up in 2 months, gang. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. But okay, fine. So I'm jumping through all of these hoops. As my listeners know as well, I've also started allergy injections because in college, I developed allergies that I had never had before, which is a very common thing, apparently. As you get older, all of a sudden, your body just decides it hates everything. It has weird reactions to things it's never had weird reactions before to before. So this is, again, go to the doctor, get yourself checked out. If there are things that are bothering you, see what you can do about them because your body is always changing, gang. Always changing. So I have started these allergy injections. As everyone knows, I have knee problems. I have arthritis throughout my entire body. I had back issues. I was taken out of work because I had a torn meniscus in one of my knees. I was taken out of work because I broke an ankle. I was taken out of work because I had 2 bulged discs in my lower back. So I've been going to the chiropractor for the past 2-3 years. as you can see from this podcast, I also enjoy talking, but that's how I handle conflict and issues is I talk things out. So I've also been going to a therapist for the past 2 years just to have somebody to talk to that isn't my friends or family, because sometimes people get sick of hearing your voice. You know what I'm saying? So now, all of my days off from my job, the only thing I don't talk about on this show for the people on TikTok, now when I have my days off, they are just filled with doctor's appointments. So I go to the allergist once a week for 6 months. That's the whole plan. That's part of the plan. I go to the therapist once every 2 weeks. I go to the chiropractor once every 2 weeks. Now I am going to a hematologist, and now I'm going to a GI doctor. So I have had 5 needles in me. No, six, because it's 1 in each arm for the allergist. I've had 6 needles in my body over the past 5 days, just dealing with all of this stuff. And I also get an injected birth control. You guys don't need to know that information necessarily, but it was one of the needles this past week. My point is, all of my days off are filled with doctor's appointments, and then my nights are filled filming on Oh So Curious on YouTube. It's my friend Dan and John's YouTube show. We talk about movies, we talk about pop culture. Mainly, we talk about DC, a little bit of Marvel because of me, Marvel. But this is my life now, and I'm just running around and trying to get better. So these are the hoops that I have to jump through. And again, do I have to jump through them necessarily? No, it's because insurance is terrible, and healthcare in this country is broken, and it's just awful. So again, now that I know what's going on, now that we think we have a game plan, I have to do X, Y, and Z and jump through all of these hoops and see all of these different doctors and specialists and be charged all of these copays. I mean, the nice thing is I'm probably going to hit my deductible for my insurance in another month or so. That's the only positive outcome of all of this. So that's what's happening there. But again, I'm trying to lose weight. I am working out. I'm doing the right things. But every time I have a low period, I have to eat something. That's the only thing that gives me energy. I'm not drinking carbonated beverages still. I'm not drinking any alcohol. I don't like energy drinks anyway. I think they're really, really scary. And I see my coworkers just pound them throughout our shift. And I'm like, your heart's going to explode out of your chest one of these days. Like it freaks me out. So this is pretty much it. This is all I can do. I do take vitamin B before anybody asks. I do take vitamin B6, B12. Still does not help me, does not energize me, does not keep me going. And again, that could be the hypoglycemia in combination with the low iron, but it's a struggle right now. It's a struggle. And and here I am thinking I've been doing the right things for me to keep myself healthy, especially again, because I've got all this arthritis. I have bone spurs in my knees after having that torn meniscus, after having the issues with my back. I'm on my feet all day at my job. I was like, okay, something's got to give. I'm certainly not in a place to, I just, I really don't like exercising. I really wasn't making the right decisions, when it came to eating, because again, I live alone. So it's one of those like, I'm all over the place. A lot of my life is just grab and go meals. I love me a drive-through, but I chose to have the surgery to make this important change. I did all of the right things. I did exactly what was asked of me. I changed my diet the way I was supposed to. I went to all of the appointments. Even though it is, like I said, it's upsetting going to the dietitian and them only looking at the number on the scale and not anything else about your lifestyle or what you've been doing. So I do hate going to the dietitian, and I can't wait till I see her again so I can tell her why I hate being here and why I hate coming to that office. Because no matter what you do, if you don't drop weight significantly, or if you don't look the way they think you should look after having that surgery or after making that life change, in their eyes, you're still doing something wrong. And in their eyes, you're not taking it seriously. And in their eyes, you're, you really don't, why did you put yourself through this? Why did you spend the money? You thought this was going to be a get out of jail quick card or something. And it's like, no, there are mitigating circumstances. And again, your scale can't differentiate between muscle and fat. So what are we supposed to do with that information? And it's disheartening, and it makes you, it makes you feel bad, even though I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. I know how my clothes fit. I know that nothing has changed in that regard. I know that I'm getting stronger because I can feel that, even though I do feel low and drained all the time without having this iron now. But unfortunately, your doctor's not with you every single day, so they can't see it. And it's disappointing. But that's where we're at. That's the update on my health. So the next step is to see a gastroenterologist, just to be told, yeah, you're not bleeding internally. You can start your infusions. Again, when talking to the doctors on the podcast, Catherine and Rhea, they are hematologist oncologists. I told them this is what was going on. I told them that I was going to need these infusions. And they said, again, insurance, as great as insurance is, they said, so here's the thing. There are infusions where you can just get one injection and you're good for like 6 months to a year, depending on how well your body absorbs it and holds on to it. And then there's one where there's 5 injections within a 2-month period. That's probably what insurance is going to tell you to do, is going to make you do. Because again, the medical system, healthcare in this country is broken, and they're just going to make you jump through hoops so that you basically don't go to the doctor. You don't take care of yourself. Oh, I kicked the freaking stand again. Again, guys, this is not the setup I wanted it to be. I do apologize. And so this is what's going to happen. So thankfully, having that conversation with the doctors, I've already anticipated being told, oh, we can't actually give you the infusions that we had planned to give you, that we had discussed with you, that would only be 2 in a month and a half, every 6 months to a year. Now, instead, we have to give you this one that's 5. And everybody says, oh, that doesn't seem so bad. Well, here's the thing. It takes about a half an hour to get the infusion. And then I have to sit there for a half an hour to make sure that I don't have any type of negative reactions. Again, why is that a problem? It's not for me at the end of the day. But as I said, I'm getting allergy injections once a week for 6 months. I also have to sit in that office for 30 minutes to make sure that I don't have an adverse reaction to those allergy injections. So I am spending, just between those 2 appointments, I'm spending 2 hours in a doctor's office. And like I said, in addition to going to the therapist every 2 weeks, going to the chiropractor every 2 weeks, doing all the other things that I need to be doing. So it's a big commitment. And I as I said, I can understand why nobody wants to put themselves through this. And again, I'm a single lady. I only answer to me, myself, and I make sure that I'm available for my cats. That's it. I don't have children. I don't have a partner. I have a job that relies on me. And then, yes, I have the YouTube show, Oh So Curious, on YouTube. But at the end of the day, I have a freer schedule than a lot of people, so I can do these things. So it's not a wonder to me why people are so against doing the right things and taking care of themselves, because our society here in America, again, healthcare, insurance companies, make it so hard. They make it impossible for you to take care of yourself, for you to do the right things. It's so sad, and it's just so depressing, and it's so unmotivating, and you just feel like, what can you do? How can you win? How can you get through this? So it's a shame. So I don't know what the answers are. Again, I don't see anybody in the chat, so I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if this is making sense with anyone. I don't know if you can relate, if you've got anything like this going on. But I just wanted to give my listeners on the pod an update and just let you guys know that's what's going on. That's the latest with me. Again, it's this healthcare journey that I'm still trying to figure out, that I'm still working towards. I still want to hit that goal of losing 150 pounds. But maybe it's not realistic, because again, even in my own mind, I'm working out. So like I have to remind myself all the time too, that muscle weighs more than fat. So, as I'm building up that muscle, as I'm doing the right things, maybe it's just being transferred. It's going from fat to muscle. And I daily, even though I don't step on the scale daily, I daily have to remind myself not to let that number control me and bother me and define me and what I've been doing for the past year and a half. But it's hard, gang. It's so hard. It's so freaking hard. What else is going on these days? Oh, even though I've just been talking about weight loss this entire time, this is the very last day that Starbucks has it's frappuccinos, and I think there's a total of 13 drinks that they're taking off their menu. So screw you, Starbucks. I hate coffee. I hate coffee. I don't drink it. I don't like it. I've never enjoyed coffee. I don't even like coffee cake, gang. I don't like tiramisu. I don't like coffee. The only thing about it is maybe the smell. Sometimes it smells good, but other than that, I can't stand it. Cannot stand coffee. So the only thing I've ever had at Starbucks was a double chocolatey chip frappuccino. A friend of mine introduced it to me in college when I had made the statement that, oh, I've never set foot in Starbucks because I don't drink coffee. She goes, oh, I'm a barista there. We have other non-coffee drinks. Okay, cool. So she introduced me to the double chocolatey chip frappuccino. I get one maybe once a month as a treat for myself. But Starbucks, the CEO, in his infinite wisdom, has decided to get rid of them because they want to get back to the basics. They want to get back to the old school Seattle coffee store feeling, whatever. Gang, it's Starbucks, all right? You're everywhere. There's literally 7 within a half an hour of me. In order, I can tell you where they're located. Okay. Stop it. Stop it. You're not a mom and pop coffee shop. You are here for the almighty dollar, like all major CEOs and brands are. So stop it. Don't sit there and tell me we're going to get back to our roots. Okay, cool. So here's what's going to happen. Today, with my points, mind you, I am going to go and get the largest double chocolatey chip frappuccino that they make, and I'm going to get it for free. Then I'm deleting their app and I'm never going to set foot in Starbucks ever again. So good job, gang. Mission accomplished. All you're doing is losing money. I don't understand you. Or at least like take a poll or something. You know what I mean? Like see how often those 13 beverages are purchased. See what items on your menu are your guests, your customers' most favorite, most popular. Because I can guarantee you half that list shouldn't be taken out. But you want to make dumb decisions, you're going to win dumb prizes. There you go. That's what happens. So today's my last day with Starbucks. RIP. Good luck to you. I don't know what to tell you. You guys are idiots. And I guess they're also getting rid of like half of their menu items as well because heaven forbid coffee shops serve food too. That's crazy. And I think the initial feeling was they are taking too long to prepare certain beverages. They're taking too long to prepare certain meals. Then you know what? Hire more staff, maybe. Rearrange your kitchen so that it's more conveniently set up so that it's not going to be people on top of one another in a 2 square foot space. Just a thought. I mean, they're renovating one of the Starbucks right next to my nail salon right now. So I know you can do it. I know you can figure it out, but we don't want to make those decisions. We just want to alienate people and make them feel bad for ordering a beverage that takes a little longer. I don't know. I don't know what the thought is. Then I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, Jessica, also been a guest on this show, fan of the show. Thanks, Jessica. I love you. She is a Starbucks stan. Bless her. No judgment there. Again, like I said, I used to go, got the app, not after today. But Jessica had said to me that she thought, or she had had a conversation with somebody else who had said, well, the logic was by removing these menu items, they're anticipating their customers to then peruse the menu to find alternatives. Hello, that's not what's going to happen here. That's because I'm furious about it. I'm really angry about it. So guess what, gang? You taking my favorite beverage away, my like monthly, sometimes weekly treat to myself, taking that away, you think that's going to prompt me to then go, oh, maybe there's something else on here that I would like. No. It's America. So we have a crap ton of options available to us everywhere all the time. You think you're the only fast food joint? You think you're the only drive-through joint in my area, babe? Nah. So Starbucks, I know you don't care whether or not you lose me, but gang, you're going to be losing a lot of people because you're making dumb decisions without consulting the people that are actually putting the money in your pocket in order to make those decisions. See how that works? So goodbye to Starbucks as of today. By the way, it's going to take me like a day and a half to drink that venti frappuccino, and I don't care. I'm here for it. Again, I'm getting it for free, so I definitely don't care. So that's the latest on that. Do we want to talk politics? I don't know. Am I still live on TikTok? Again, nobody's commenting. Nobody's telling me if they can even hear me. Nobody's telling me if this makes any sense to them. Nobody's giving me any feedback. Are you guys leaving Starbucks? Are you happy about the Starbucks changes? Do you give a darn? I don't know how any of this works. And again, thank you all for joining me. My name is Elizabeth Marvel. This is the Try Not to Curse podcast, available everywhere you listen. Sorry for my listeners that I have to keep repeating myself, but some people are just joining. So as you guys know, my buddy Kenny has come on the show prior to the election. We were talking about a number of different things. Democrats versus Republicans versus independents versus, how this government is broken. And the government absolutely is broken. It absolutely is. I am not naive. Yes, I'm a super liberal. Yes, I'm a super Democrat, but I am not naive in the sense that everything is perfect and we shouldn't change a thing and we don't need to. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Just like, again, people throw that word woke around a lot. And I was having this Starbucks discussion on the YouTube show a couple of weeks ago with somebody when they first announced they were getting rid of the menu items. And one of the fans on the show had commented like, oh, Starbucks is evil. Gang, anybody that makes millions of dollars a day, probably not the nicest person on the face of the planet, probably not the most ethical, probably not the great. Like, unless you're Ben & Jerry's or Costco or Lego, I really can't trust you. You know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Or Arizona iced tea. Excuse me. I should not take you guys out of this conversation. But there's always going to be bad things in this world. There are always going to be people that do bad things, that screw over other people. Again, I don't know if that's a bad word to use on TikTok. You guys have such a really weird list of what can be said and what can't be said. But and I say this too, because I also have a relative that, I call the most granola person. He'll eat twigs and berries before he'll eat a candy bar. It's bizarre. Anyway, but there are microplastics in Antarctica. Okay. Watch the film Dark Waters if you think everything's going great and we're all, eating a granola bar instead of a candy bar is going to change that trajectory of your life that much. Watch Dark Waters. Guess what? We're all screwed. Okay? All of us. Everything gives us cancer. We have microplastics in our heart. Gentlemen have microplastics in their little gentlemen. That's actually where the most microplastics are found on the human body, is in a gentleman's gentleman. Google it. It's a true story. So my point is, try to make good decisions, of course. Try to make smart decisions. Try to make healthy decisions. But do not lose your mind. Because we will. We will lose our minds if we focus on all of the negative and all of the, like, yes, I don't eat at Chick-fil-A. Yes, I don't shop at Hobby Lobby. But you know what? I have a friend who is a member of the LGBTQ plus community, loves Chick-fil-A. Eats there on the daily, would work there if he needed a job, loves Chick-fil-A. So you know what? Like, pick your battles, gang. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. Is Target the greatest company in the world? No. Do I love shopping there? Sure do, especially over Walmart. Walmart's also super evil. So yeah, Target has Starbucks has its shortcomings. Any corporation that makes millions and millions of dollars, there's going to be some bad eggs up in there doing some bad things, trying to screw over good people. You can't avoid it. So like I said, pick your battles, and try not to judge one another about it. Like I said, for me personally, I will never give Chick-fil-A my hard-earned dollars. However, I've recently received gift cards for Chick-fil-A. I'm not going to get a chicken sandwich. The chicken sandwiches are delicious. You know what I'm saying? Like do what makes sense for you and for your morals and for what you care about. And don't project and don't judge other people. I mean, and again, I do say that, but at the same time, if you supported Trump, I can't support you. So it's like, we're in a weird place in society, gang. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, this is why I go to therapy. Because my friends don't want you. This is not the dynamic you want with your friends and family, right? Like, I don't want to only talk to my friends about politics. I don't only want to talk to my family members about politics or about the negative things going on in the world. Or, I bless my mom. And again, she's been on the show. Mom, thank you. I appreciate you listening. I love you. But she wants to talk to me about the stuff every time she sees me. It's, oh, did you see this in the news? And I say to her, I did. I don't want to talk about it. or I did, I don't care. And it's not that I don't care. It's that I'm over it. You know, I will not obsess over any of this stuff, because at the end of the day, it's happening. All I can do is vote. All I can do is volunteer my time, maybe my dollars, depending on what's the latest thing happening around me. But I refuse. I refuse to go crazy over any of this stuff. This man is only going to be the president for another 4 years. He's going to do as much damage as humanly possible until then. And I hope that the majority of his voters finally end up realizing what happens. Maybe it's going to be way too late for them and there's nothing they can do. I mean, there's nothing they can do now. But at the end of the day, all I can do is vote. I can vote my conscience. And that's, I hope that's what everybody does. Unfortunately, there are people out there that they refuse to educate themselves. They refuse to fact check. They refuse to sit down and have open and honest and respectful conversation with their fellow man or with people that don't agree with them. So what do you do? What do you do? Do the best you can. That's all I can say. Do the best you can. But really, if you want to walk around this world ignorant, you're going to get what you're going to get, And if that means your friends distance themselves from you, your family distance themselves from you, if you lose your job over some dumb garbage you post on socials, you shouldn't be surprised at this point. Even speaking of going on TikTok live right now, I have friends all the time when I ask people to come on this podcast, the number one question I get is, we're not recording, right? Like, you're not, because people know the internet is mean. The internet is a mean place. I never once open up social media, open up Google Chrome. I never once open up TikTok expecting sunshine and roses. Listen, there's a lot of feel-good stories out there. There's a lot of entertainment out there, but I am a female, overweight, 40-year-old in the world. I'm not wearing makeup right now. My hair isn't done. Again, the lighting in this room is crap. The angle for this camera is not the way I wanted it to be. I expect somebody to say something really nasty and rude and terrible to me. And guess what? I'm going to ignore them because A, I don't know them, and B, if I did, they're not somebody that I need in my life. So, it's you have to decide how you want to walk through this world, but be realistic about the world you're walking around in. I say it all the time whenever that show The Boys comes up, and a lot of people don't agree with me, I think, because again, you try to be optimistic and that's cute. But I always say that show The Boys is the most accurate, absolute 100% way this world would be if superheroes were real. I know everybody wants to think that superheroes are always going to do the right thing. Their moral compass is always going to be headed towards the North Star, but gang, at the end of the day, if you have unlimited power, or if, just power over others in general, and you feel you are untouchable, you might make some wrong decisions. You might do some not so nice things. And that's just the way the world is. So now we are on socials. We are the most unsocial society we've ever been. We are the loneliest society we've ever been, because we are empowered to sit at home alone and just spew dumb junk to strangers, to other strangers. And again, does that mean that I shouldn't be on socials? Does that mean that I shouldn't show my face? For a long time, I felt that way, especially on the TikToks. I would post goofy things. A lot of the time it was, like pictures with a soundtrack or something behind it. Like, again, I still don't know what I'm doing. I still have no idea how to use TikTok, to be perfectly honest. I just share videos back and forth with Abby. Bless you, Abby. The other day I opened it up. She sent me like 83 videos because I don't even check this on the daily. So so I open it up, I'm like, oh, okay, got to catch up. But it's just, gang, again, it says more about you, how you react to the negative, to the vitriol, to to the outrageous dumb things people say than those people, because again, they don't know you. So you should always strive to be the bigger, better person. You should always strive to approach everything you do with understanding and compassion and empathy. Oh my God, empathy. How dare us? What a crazy concept. And you're not woke for having any of that in your toolbox. Okay. Woke just means, as to quote Jane Fonda, woke just means giving a damn about your fellow man. Whoa, what a concept. Isn't that crazy? But I just, again, I have so much to say about what's going on in the world, but at the same time, I also sometimes just feel like, what's the point? Because it's happening. It's happening. The world is on fire. Everything's terrible. Starbucks is getting rid of my favorite beverage. And I just have to wake up the next day and do my best. Do the best that I can that day. And if that means not leaving the house, maybe don't leave the house. You know what I mean? Like just, again, pick your battles. Do what makes you happy. Volunteer. Check in on a friend. Check in on a family member. Treat yourself to a nice meal. And by the way, eating by yourself, there's nothing wrong with that. I eat by myself all the time. It's glorious. Why? Because I don't have to share. I can take leftovers home, which is, great. Like the next day you wake up and you're like, oh, I have those leftovers in the fridge. It's wonderful. So I just, my point is, bad things are going to happen all the time, but good things happen all the time too. And I know this is just a rant that I'm going on, but this is how I've been feeling lately. And I think a lot of people don't understand that when we try to talk politics, like they want me to get mad. They want me to be passionate. They want me to get into it with them. They want me to have a fight. And I won't, because you're not going to change how you feel or think about something. You're not going to change how I feel or think about something. But I hope you vote, because I'm voting. I hope you volunteer, because I'm volunteering. I hope you're putting your hard-earned dollars towards things that matter to you, because I certainly am. It may be a counterpoint. You may negate the things that I do, and I may negate the things that you do, but this is America, and that's our freedom. That's our God-given right. So, just try not to be a dick about it. And again, I don't know if I can say that word on the TikToks. I don't think I can, but just strive to be a decent human being, for goodness sakes. And the fact that I have to say that, and the fact that people are going to hear me say that and be like, what an idiot. Okay, and there are people out there how, don't you tell me what to do. Don't you tell me how to feel. Excuse me for a moment. I have to take a swig out of my giant Red Cross Stanley. I can't believe we really are going to go a whole hour here, gang. Good for me. I made it. What else is going on in the world? You guys, let's talk about the Oscars, okay? We have to talk about the Oscars. The Oscars was last night. I left work early for it. I took today off because I knew I was going to be up until midnight, 1 a.m. As y'all know, my listeners at least, not the people on the TikToks. Hi, again, Elizabeth Marvel, Try Not to Curse podcast. Please like and subscribe. The Oscars are my Super Bowl. They're my Super Bowl. I do also take work off for the Super Bowl because I enjoy spending time with my family watching that. But the Oscars... y'all know I'm at the movie theater every single week. I see multiple movies a week. I saw 4 last week. I try to see, at the very least, I see every single film that's nominated for Best Picture. I do try to see every film that plays in theaters that gets nominated. Anything that I have to look for on streaming or YouTube or whatever we want to call it these days, I may or may not get to them because I don't watch movies at home, and B, I also refuse to rent or buy, because if I'm already, gang, I'm going to get on my soapbox again here. If I am already paying for a streaming service, I'm giving you my hard-earned dollars month to month. How dare you then ask me to rent or purchase a film or television show? How dare you? How dare you? How dare you? Not happening. Forget you. Because at one point it will be free. So to hell with you. I'll wait. So I caught everything that was nominated for Best Picture with the exception of Sing Sing. That I didn't get to see, unfortunately. Just my schedule never worked out. And AMC theaters, don't get me started on your schedule. You guys are making me really mad these days. I'm going to say that. But I did see everything else. I did not see some of the internationals. I did not see all of the animated, and usually the shorts and the docs. I don't get to all of them either. But here's what drives me crazy about the Oscars. And I know that this is very subjective. Everybody's going to have hardcore opinions about it. Recently, the Oscars has become a popularity shell game. And it's really disappointing. While I feel that everything, maybe with the exception of Wicked, while I feel that everything that was nominated for Best Picture should have been nominated for Best Picture, I've never agreed certainly not the past couple of years. I've never agreed with how the Academy ultimately votes, because what the Academy does, and you can see this in real time as award season progresses on. In the beginning of award season, the buzz is always around one actor, one actress, one film, or, maybe 1 to 2. So in the beginning of the award season, everything was about Demi Moore. Everything was about Demi Moore. Everything was about Demi Moore. Pamela Anderson was sometimes a part of that conversation. Best Supporting, everything was about Zoe Saldana. Everything was about Zoe Saldana. Everything was about Zoe Saldana. And it should have been, in my opinion. I think she was the best. I'm glad she swept the awards. She absolutely deserved it. Her performance was phenomenal in Emilia Perez, regardless of how you feel about that film, or the other actors in it. And then again, beginning of award season, everything was about Conclave. Everything was about Conclave. Everything was about Conclave. Sometimes it was about The Brutalist. And as far as actors, everything was about Timothée Chalamet. Everything was about Adrien Brody. Everything was about Timothée Chalamet. Everything was about Adrien Brody. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Then as award season progressed, and I don't know if it was a combination of marketing or buzz or fan comments, what have you, things started to shift. Then everything became about Anora. Everything became about Anora. Everything became about Anora. Everything became about Anora. Which is fine. But if you are like me and you have seen every single performance, again, with the exception of Sing Sing, I will admit, with the exception of Sing Sing, I vote based on how you should be voting and how we used to classically vote for the Academy Awards, based on friggin' acting ability, based on script, based on cinematography, not based on how it makes you feel, not based on how necessarily entertaining it was. That's not the point, gang, of these awards. It's not. Maybe producer Mike will disagree with me when he hears this, but he doesn't always listen to the full episode, so who knows? But Anora is not the best picture, gang, and quite frankly, it's not a comedy in my view either. I don't understand why it's been portrayed as a comedy. Same thing with The Bear. The Bear is not a comedy. I mean, maybe it's a little dark, but it's not. Riff Raff was a dark comedy. You want an example of a dark comedy? Riff Raff, not Anora. Demi Moore was not the best actress. I understand why we do certain things that we do. Same thing with Jamie Lee Curtis. I love her. I'm glad she has the Oscar, but that wasn't the performance in which she should have gotten the Oscar. Same thing with Leonardo DiCaprio. That wasn't the performance for which he should have gotten the Oscar. But the Academy does this where they feel, oh, it's been 30 years. Let's just give it to him. So I felt they were going to do that this year with Demi Moore because that's how award season was going. Again, do I think she was the best? I do not. I think Fernanda Torres was the best, and I'm Still Here. Thankfully, it did win for Best International. I'm Still Here, in my opinion, was the best film of the year because A, it's based on a true story. B, it talks about perseverance. B, it talks about corruption. Or C, D, the story moved me. There was some context. There was some content to it. There was some actual substance to, pardon the reference. Whereas Anora was essentially an episode of 90 Day Fiancé, a funny one. Mikey Madison, I'm not going to say wasn't great. She was great. However, there was really no substance there. There was really no gravitas there. They weren't telling a story. They weren't changing the world or even attempting to. They weren't trying to highlight something that was going on. They weren't trying to, so for me, you want a popular vote, you have the Critics' Choice Award. You want, you want an acting award, you have the SAG Awards, you have the BAFTAs, you have the Academy Awards used to come with a real sense of gravitas, of purpose, again, of substance. And just lately, I don't feel that they've been voting that way. Everything Everywhere All at Once, there was a story there. There was context there. There was something people could relate to. And again, it was extremely creative. It was extremely original. It blew everybody's minds. I don't feel that it should have swept that awards season. Certainly not. I certainly don't think it should have swept the Oscars and got all of the Oscars that it did get, but I understand why it got Best Picture. So for me, but again, sitting there watching it this year, I'm really, really happy with the fact that almost everybody got something. Unfortunately, Nosferatu, A Complete Unknown, and Sing Sing were pretty much edged out, which is a shame. But again, that was a little hard for me. I knew Adrian Brody was going to win, and again, rightfully so. But Timothée Chalamet, he put in the work. He did put in the work. I'm glad he got recognized at the very least. I'm disappointed that Pamela Anderson wasn't nominated because The Last Showgirl was great and she should have been. Jamie Lee Curtis was nominated. Why wasn't it Pamela Anderson? So that was really disappointing because, again, while I didn't think she was going to win, like I knew Ariana and Cynthia weren't going to win. I knew Wicked wasn't going to win Best Picture. At least they got a little piece. You know, they won for certain categories and deservedly so. I was really surprised that Flow won, to be perfectly honest. I thought it was going to go to Wild Robot or Inside Out 2 because I used to know how the Academy voted. They have since really, really changed the way they do things. But Flow, for me, while I thought it was a really great film, wasn't a huge fan of the ending. And the animation, I don't know why people are saying it's groundbreaking. The animation looks like it was 100% AI generated. Like it looks like somebody punched in a storyline and this is what AI gave them. It almost reminded me of like the really bad graphics from the early 90s. Like if you tried to make a full animated film on a 90s DOS computer, that's what you would have gotten. So I don't understand why it was given Best Animated. But again, the film I liked. There was no speaking whatsoever. There were no human beings in it. So that was pretty cool. Very different. I'm happy for Latvia. That was the first Oscar that country has ever received. So that's really cool in that regard. But again, I'm kind of blown away by the shift in the Oscars and the Academy's voting. But you know, it's a new generation. They're getting younger actors to be a part of it. They're getting younger actors to vote and put in their feedback. I'm not convinced that they all watch every single performance. And I think they vote kind of like the rest of the world does, where it's like, oh, that sounds good. Or, you know what I mean? Like, I've not heard of it, but I have to vote, so I'll vote. So I'm disappointed in who wins and the decisions they make in some regards, but it's still nice. And and good for them at the end of the day, good for Mikey Madison. I hope this blows the doors open for her. She is a good actress. She seems to have a decent attitude. She seems to have a nice outlook on life. She seems to be somebody that gives a damn. So hopefully she does really big things with that. But again, for me, I think it should be about acting. It should be about story, but it should also be about content and context. So whereas The Brutalist had something important to say, Conclave had something important to say, The Substance had something important to say, I'm Still Here was an important story to tell and to share because it's something that does go on throughout the world all the time. And we shouldn't be forgetful of the bad things that happen to good people. But, they voted how they voted. They went with the popular vote. And all right, but I don't think it it's still it kind of blew my mind because I heard from so many actors. I do follow a lot of actors. There are different actors that have podcasts and things like that. And they all adored Anora and thought Anora was this most incredible, groundbreaking, which I really don't understand, but I'm not in the business. So maybe I'm just missing something. I don't know. But, like I said, that's not my pick for Best Picture. She's not my pick for Best Actress. I'll be honest about that too, but it was what it was. So I hope you guys got a chance to watch it. I hope you guys get a chance to see all of the films because really they do deserve a watch for one reason or another. So that's all I'm going to say about that. I am still going to try and see Sing Sing because I love Domingo Coleman. So we'll see. But I'm excited to see what happens next year because, it seems like this year, as far as movies are concerned, we're kind of getting back to like the all action, no substance kind of thing right now. We just had a Marvel film come out. We've got another one coming up in May, another one coming up in July. We've got a Jurassic World coming out. We've got Superman coming out. So we've got The Beekeeper 2. We just, what was the one we had Flight Risk come out. It's a lot of action that seems to be coming out this year. So I'll be interested to see what the award season looks like at the beginning of next year. But it's still my favorite thing. It's still my beloved hobby. I love going to the movies. I love seeing all that I can see. If you want my opinion on Amelia Perez, you'll have to reach out and message me. I'm not gonna get into it here. But hey, this was Try Not to Curse. I am Elizabeth Marvel. I promise you one of these days I'll have a guest back on here again and we will get back to our normal format. As I said, it's just between my doctor's appointments, the YouTube show, my full-time job, and then everybody else living their lives, scheduling has been nigh impossible. But I still have quite a list of names of guests that I'd like on this show that do some pretty interesting things that I'd like you all to learn about. So I'm striving. We're doing the best that we can. But again, I wanted to come on here, kind of give you guys a little bit of an update, talk about the things going on in the world. And, I don't like leaving you guys hanging week to week. So I apologize for the lull that there has been. Also, Facebook is potentially getting rid of the podcast page. I don't know what the heck is going on with socials with this. Let's get rid of DEI, but we're also going to get rid of people that we don't think provide enough content because that's all we want now as influencers. I don't know what's happening, but I keep getting warnings from Facebook that the Try Not to Curse podcast page is going to be deleted because apparently I don't post often enough on there. Whatever. So we'll see what happens. So now I'm trying this live on TikTok situation. I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, but again, the podcast is Try Not to Curse, and hopefully we'll catch you guys in a week or so.